Hi, I'm Vanessa from SpeakEnglishWithVanessa.com. Do you recognize these words? Let's talk about it. This morning I was sitting on my patio enjoying my chai latte and yogurt with granola for breakfast. I'm kind of a connoisseur of chai lattes, and this one was perfect. I was so gung-ho to do the daily Sudoku that I knocked over my chai latte and spilled it all over my pajamas. What a klutz. If you understood all this lingo, kudos to you. If you didn't, no worries. Today I'm going to help explain 22 foreign words in English. If you speak one of these languages, well, you're in luck because English takes a lot of words from other languages and uses them in daily conversation. These words are loaned or borrowed or directly taken from other languages. So if there is a word from your native language that is used in English, well, great, you already know how to use this word and you could use it in English. Sometimes the meaning of words is slightly different in English, and always the pronunciation is more English-like, but overall, if one of these words comes from your native language, you're gonna know how to use it. And if none of these words comes from your native language, I challenge you to let me know in the comments a word from your native language that we use in English. All right, let's get started. The first 3 words from other languages that we use in daily conversation in English are from Spanish. Our first one is the word patio. Notice that the pronunciation of this word is the T changes to a D sound. Patio. This is very common in American English. When there is a T surrounded by vowels, that T changes to a D. Patio. A patio is an outdoor area that's usually with some cement or stones. There might be a table there for eating, and it's connected in some way with a walkway or maybe directly connected to your house. So we can use this word like this. I like to eat my breakfast on the patio. Or we were sitting on the patio enjoying the beautiful weather. Patio. Sometimes when you're on the patio, you hear bzzz. It's a terrible sound, right? This is a mosquito. Notice the pronunciation. Mosquito. Again, that final T is changing to a D sound. Mosquito. Mosquito is that really annoying buzzing insect that bites you and then, well, technically probably not bites you, but it attacks you and then you itch. Oh, it's really annoying. Well, we use this word often in daily conversation because they're everywhere in the warm weather. So you could say, I love to go camping, but the mosquitoes always eat me up. Or you might say, don't forget the bug spray because the mosquitoes are really bad today. I hope mosquitoes are not bad where you live. The third Spanish word that we use in daily conversation in English is savvy. Notice that this word has 2 V's. This is very unusual in English, but it's taken from Spanish, so there we go. Savvy. Savvy means that you have some practical knowledge, or maybe you have an ability to make good judgments or good choices. Let's take a look at these sentences. I lack mechanical savvy, so if I have trouble with my car, I ask my dad for help. Here we're talking about that practical knowledge about cars. I lack this knowledge. I don't have practical knowledge about cars. I lack mechanical savvy, or I'm not savvy about cars, so I ask my dad for help. Or you could say people who are financially savvy make good accountants. People who are financially savvy, they have this practical knowledge and they can make good judgments about finances, about money. They are financially savvy. All right, let's go to our next language. Italian. The next 3 words come from Italian, but we use them in daily conversation in English. The first word is paparazzi. Paparazzi. These are the people who pursue celebrities or famous people and take pictures of them while they're walking their children to school or while they're at the grocery store. I think this would be very annoying if you were a celebrity. Maybe it's what you sign up for, I don't know, but these people are the paparazzi. So we can use it in this way. The celebrity went out in a disguise so that the paparazzi wouldn't find her. She had to go out in a disguise, like a mask or big hat, or somehow change her appearance. Or you could say, I'm so glad that I'm not famous and the paparazzi don't follow me. I'm so glad that the paparazzi don't follow me. For me, even though there are almost 3 million of you on YouTube who are subscribed to this channel, never once has a stranger said, "Oh, you're Vanessa, hi." That has never happened before. I think everyone is spread out around the world, so I don't have a problem with paparazzi. This is very nice. But if you follow my channel and you happen to see me, please don't be worried to say hello. Yes, you can say hello to me. I'm just a normal person. So if you see me by accident somewhere, feel free to say hello. But so far, this has never happened to me. Our next Italian word in English is cartoon. Cartoon. And this is either a drawing or a motion animated set of drawings. A famous technique would be Walt Disney. Walt Disney is famous for his cartoon drawings or his cartoon style. Or you might say, sometimes the news is just too serious, so I turn on cartoons instead. We use this to talk about the category of TV show that is animated, something like this, like classic one is Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny is a cartoon, and when I was a kid, on Saturday morning, I would watch some Bugs Bunny cartoons. Our final Italian word today that is used in English is latte. Latte. Notice how this word, if you are Italian, you've noticed, this word is sounding kind of English. It's not sounding very Italian anymore. But when you go to a coffee shop and you say, I'd like to order a latte, they will know exactly what you mean because this is an espresso drink with some steamed milk. Or if you don't like coffee, like me, you might get a chai latte, and this is steamed milk with a tea mixture, spiced tea mixture. There's no espresso, but it's that idea of steamed milk plus some kind of caffeine stimulant. So we can use it in these sentences. My husband usually drinks his coffee black. This means no milk, no sugar, but sometimes he makes a latte. Or I was feeling really sleepy, so I stopped into the cafe and got a latte. Our next 3 foreign words that are used in English are from Turkish, the Turkish language. Our first word is yogurt. This food has now become pretty common all around the world, and it is a milk-based food that is mixed with some bacteria, and it makes it thick and really tasty, in my opinion. So you could say, in the morning, I like to add some berries and nuts to my yogurt to have a healthy breakfast. Or, I learned how to make yogurt at home. This is kind of true. I tried to make yogurt, but Turkish students, I need your help. It's always too liquidy and not so thick, and it took so much effort and so much time and so much milk that I could buy good quality yogurt at the grocery store for much cheaper, and it's so much easier, but I would love to make good quality yogurt at home. I just need a little help. Our next Turkish word in English is kiosk. Kiosk. We use this word when we're talking about a small booth or stand where you can buy something. These are often in a shopping mall or in an airport, this type of big shopping type of situation. So we could use these sentences. I went to the kiosk to buy a ticket for the train. This might be just a machine, or it could be a booth where someone is working, but it's this idea of a small area where you are purchasing something. Or you could say, I used the kiosk to check in early for my flight. In this situation at the airport, it's almost always a machine. You just put your passport in and it prints out your ticket for you. You don't have to wait in line. It's kind of the fast way to check in for a flight. And this is like an automated kiosk. So if you go to the airport and they say, there's a sign that says, use the kiosk for fast check-in, now you know what that is. And even if you are not Turkish, you know what this word is. I think I might have said that there were 3 Turkish words. Actually, there is just 2 in this lesson. So let's go on to our next language. The next 3 words come from French. The first word is genre. Genre. This pronunciation is very English, but that's how we say it. Genre. And it means the style of literature or movie or film or music. There might be a horror film. There might be a mystery film or a romantic film. These are the different categories or the different genres of film. So for me, my favorite genre of literature is historical fiction. This is the category. Or, in my opinion, the romantic film genre is usually pretty cheesy. This means kind of a stereotypical, maybe not so interesting in my opinion, but everyone has their own opinion. Our next French word that we use in English is a big one, entrepreneur. I get a lot of questions asking, Vanessa, how can I pronounce this word? And even though I broke down this word in another English lesson that I made called 106 Difficult Words in English, you can watch it up here. I will give you a little sneak preview. Let's break down this word. Entrepreneur. Entrepreneur. And this means someone who has their own business, who works for themselves. So for me, I don't like having a boss, so I decided to become an entrepreneur. Or you might say, with the internet, it's easy to become an entrepreneur. You could do a craft, you could paint something and sell it online. Boom! You are an entrepreneur. You have your own business. Our next French word that we use in English is connoisseur. Notice the English pronunciation here. Connoisseur. And it means someone who can judge something based on an expert taste. They are an expert and they know a lot about a field. So a common way to use this is to talk about a wine connoisseur. So we might say, the wine connoisseur ordered the most expensive wine on the menu. Okay, they want the highest quality because they can tell the difference. For me, if I drank a $15 bottle of wine compared to a $200 bottle of wine, I probably don't know the difference because I am not a wine connoisseur. But if you are a wine connoisseur, you probably can tell the difference. But instead of being a wine connoisseur, we might say, I am a connoisseur for fresh water. This seems very strange, but it's true. Let me tell you a little story. Whenever I go on vacation, the one thing that I usually miss the most about home is really fresh, clear tasting water. It's totally safe to drink tap water in the US. Tap water just comes from the sink. Usually totally fine to drink that, but I really have a refined taste for fresh water. And when we lived in our old apartment, I would walk to the grocery store 3 or 4 times a week with big glass jars, and I would refill those jars with some fresh filtered water. The water was from a tap at the grocery store. They sold this really cheaply and it was fresh and I could fill up my containers and take them home. And this is what we drank for several years until we had children. And then we bought a filter for under our sink that's like reverse osmosis. It's really fancy. And this is something that is important to me. I love to drink fresh, clean, filtered water, and I can really taste the difference. If I don't have this type of water for 1 week, I can really taste the difference in my body and in my mouth. So we might say, I am a freshwater connoisseur. All right, our next two foreign words used in English are from Chinese. And the first one is ketchup. Ketchup. You might know ketchup. This is a sauce with tomatoes, and the stereotype is that we dip some French fries in ketchup, but this word originated in Chinese. I actually listened to an interesting podcast about the origin of ketchup. Seems very strange to be a podcast topic, but if you're interested, I highly recommend Googling the origin of ketchup. In fact, the first ketchup had no tomatoes. Ooh, very interesting. All right, so we can use this word like this. I watched in horror as my friend covered her expensive steak in ketchup. Oh no. Or you could say, I like to dip my French fries in ketchup and mustard. Very common thing. Our next Chinese word that's used in daily conversation in English is one that you actually heard at the beginning of this lesson, and that is a fun one. Gung-ho. Gung-ho. In English, this means that you are really enthusiastic and excited about something. So we could say, my very organized friend was gung-ho about organizing my closet. So organizing my closet is not something that is important to me, but my friend loves to be organized. So when she saw my closet, she said, oh, I really want to organize this. Oh, please, can I organize your closet? This looks so great. What a good project. She is gung-ho about organizing my closet. But we can also use this in a negative sense. This is true for me. I was not gung-ho about preparing my taxes and filing all of the documents at the beginning of this year. I was not gung-ho. I was not enthusiastic. I was not eager or excited. I was not gung-ho. Our next two foreign words that are used in English are from Japanese. The first one is Sudoku. Maybe you have done one of these types of puzzles before. They're kind of logic number type puzzles. And we might say that on a long flight, it's nice to do Sudoku. You can bring a little booklet. Maybe you can even do it on your phone, and you can keep your mind active in this simple but effective way by doing Sudoku. Some people even say that doing Sudoku puzzles are a good way to keep your brain active and healthy. So as we get older, it's good to do little tasks like this in order to keep our mind active. The next Japanese word that we use in English is tycoon. Notice this is not typhoon. Typhoon is a type of storm, but a tycoon is a wealthy, powerful person. So you might say that Elon Musk has become a tycoon in the space industry. This was kind of something that 50 years ago might have been shocking, that an individual could become a tycoon in space, in the space industry, but that's what's happened. He is a tycoon, a wealthy, powerful person in that industry. Or you could say that the oil tycoon used his money to help other people. Maybe he started a charity or he donated some money, but this is someone who's wealthy and powerful in the oil industry, the oil tycoon. The next two foreign words that are commonly used in English are from Hindi or Urdu. The first one is loot. Loot. This is some kind of goods or item. Usually it's personal property that's taken by an enemy. We can use this in a more serious sense, or we can use this in kind of a light-hearted way. But in the serious sense, we could say that the soldiers took some loot when they invaded the city. So they took some private property when they invaded the city. But in a lighthearted way, we might say that on Halloween, I looted my son's Halloween candy. So in this case, I am invading my son's Halloween candy and I'm stealing some, maybe when he's sleeping or something like that. But we use this to talk about taking someone else's thing. But in this situation, it's like a joke, it's lighthearted. I took my son's Halloween loot. That's a noun. or as a verb, I looted my son's Halloween candy. The next word is pajamas. Pajamas are clothes that are comfortable and you wear them at night or kind of lounging around the house. So you might say, since the pandemic began, we all have been wearing pajamas much more often. Or you can say, I was so tired that I forgot to put on my pajamas before falling asleep. In English, we sometimes reduce the word pajamas to PJs. So for me, that's what I say. I say, I'm gonna put on my PJs. And sometimes for little kids, we say jammies. This is only in reference to clothes that little babies wear to bed, or maybe little kids wear to bed. We might say, it's time to take off your jammies and put on your normal clothes. For me, this isn't a word that I use, but I know a lot of parents use the word jammies, so it is pretty common in the US. The next two foreign words that are commonly used in English are from Yiddish. And the first one is glitch. The word glitch is a sudden but kind of temporary problem or malfunction in some type of machine. So we might say, my computer had a glitch and it suddenly shut down. Well, maybe the next time you turn on your computer, it's gonna work fine. And you're gonna wonder, what happened? Oh no, is that gonna happen again? But it was just a temporary malfunction in your computer. Or we could say, because of the website glitch, I was able to receive a special discount. In fact, this was true for me. There was some kind of strange website glitch when I was booking our wedding location when my husband and I got married. They were changing their website to a new format, and when I called them, they said one price, and then when I looked on the website, it said another price that was like double. But when I asked them which is the correct price, they said, well, if we told you the cheaper price, then that's the price. So even though the website showed a higher price, because there was this kind of glitch as they were updating their website, we got to have that wedding location for half the price. So this was a glitch that worked out in our favor. The next Yiddish word is klutz. I used this word earlier in my story at the beginning of this lesson. A klutz is a clumsy person who is tripping all the time. So we might say, my friend is such a klutz. She falls up the stairs. This takes a special type of skill to fall up the stairs instead of falling down the stairs. Or we could say, the waiter was such a klutz and dropped all of the drinks on my lap. Not a good situation. So the waiter was clumsy and tripped and spilled all of the drinks on my lap. This is never a positive thing. It's always used in a negative way. The next foreign word that we use in English comes from Portuguese, and it's the word lingo. Lingo is a specific type of vocabulary that different fields use. So, for example, in the English learning field, we often use words like the past perfect tense or phrasal verbs. And if you're learning English, maybe you're familiar with that type of lingo. But if you ask an American on the street, tell me about the past perfect tense, or oh, you used a nice phrasal verb, they'll probably say, what? Because they're not familiar with that type of lingo in the field of learning English as a second language. So maybe your field at work has a similar type of lingo. If you're an engineer who works on, for example, on engines, car engines, well, you have specific types of vocabulary that you use in that field, and other people are not really going to understand it easily. So we might say, once I learned some mechanical lingo, I was able to describe my car problem to the mechanic. This is the specific vocabulary about cars. And if you would like to increase your mechanical lingo about cars, I made this video up here about 100 car vocabulary words. These are words that are used in everyday English. They're not super technical, but if you need to describe a problem about your car or you just want to learn more vocabulary, I highly recommend checking it out. Another way we can use the word lingo is to give some advice. We might say it's best to avoid lingo when talking to people outside your field. So if you are a professional skier, for example, or you're just really into skiing, there's probably some specific lingo about the skis, the poles, the movements, the different terms related to skiing. And for me, I have never been skiing on snow, so I know nothing about this. If you told me about skiing in a very technical way, my eyes would kind of glaze over and I would probably be lost very quickly in that conversation because I'm not familiar with the lingo in that sphere or in that field. Our final two words from a foreign language that are used in English come from Greek, this ancient language, Greek. The first word is anonymous. This is a nice long word, but you can pronounce it nice and clearly with me. Anonymous. Anonymous. And this means that we don't know who did it. It's unknown. So you might say, the poem is famous, but the author is anonymous. We don't know who said it or who wrote it. Or you could say, an anonymous person left a nice note on my car. An anonymous person, so it's an unknown person, I don't know who it is, but they wrote a note and put it on my car. An anonymous person. The final word in this lesson, and our second word that is taken from the Greek language and used often in English, is kudos. Kudos. Kudos is a kind of praise or achievement for doing well. So we might say, my boss gave me kudos for my presentation. He's not physically giving me something, but he says, great work, I'm so glad that you organized this, it was very clear, that was really helpful. He is praising you for your presentation. He is giving you kudos. We sometimes use the word kudos directly in exchange with the word congratulations. So we might say, kudos to the team that won the championship. Congratulations to the team that won the championship. Or kudos to the team that won the championship. So how did you do? Did you know these 22 common foreign words that are used in English? Please don't let this lingo intimidate you. With practice and a gung-ho attitude, you will feel less like a klutz and more like a linguistically savvy genius, worthy of all the kudos. I hope that this lesson was useful to you. If I missed your language, let me know in the comments a word in English that is from your language. I would love to learn more and we can learn from each other. Well, thank you so much for learning English with me, and I'll see you again next Friday for a new lesson here on my YouTube channel. Bye! The next step is to download my free ebook, 5 Steps to Becoming a Confident English Speaker. You'll learn what you need to do to speak confidently and fluently. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more free lessons. Thanks so much. Bye.